And now, a few minutes with two of my friends who will soon be yours, the Techie and the Cowboy.
What's up, guys? Here we are with the Techie and the Cowboy. We're finally back after taking about a year off. Let's introduce ourselves first. My name is Alistair Hunt. They call me the Techie.
And this is T.W. Lawrence, and they call me the Cowboy.
So for our long-time users, welcome back. For our new listeners and viewers, because now we're on a video format, welcome to the Techie and the Cowboy. So TW, let's kind of talk about, how the Techie and the Cowboy started, and then also, where it's evolving now with this new video platform and everything else like that. Let's talk a little bit about that. So TW,
Sure.
Go ahead.
I will, but do you think that we should tell our fans that at one time you told me that I had a face that was perfect for audio?
I wasn't going to mention that, but now that you brought it up, I mean, you said it.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, okay, we started back, 5-6 years ago. Both of us were Stephen minister leaders in our respective churches, and our churches sent us to a leadership conference in Orlando, Florida. And as a process of them trying to form teams and get people to match up and stuff, we found ourselves at a table together, found out that we had in common the state of Texas. We participated with a few other people during that event, but after that was over, we stayed in contact, and we used Zoom way back when, way before people even knew what Zoom was, aside from fast cars and motorcycles type of thing. So you and I became prayer partners, and as a result of the weekly, sometimes twice a week meetings that we had, we'd go on and on about a certain topic and get wound up and stuff. And one day you said, we should record this. And so we did. And that became the very first set of episodes for the Techie and the Cowboy podcast.
Yeah, and it was all grassroots. It still is to this day. At the very beginning, we just said, hey, maybe somebody would like these conversations. And we started putting it out there, and we started bringing on different guests that we have met, men that use faith in the walks of their lives and how it integrated in there, and just answering questions that we had. It's common things that men don't normally talk about in their faith. It was kind of our theme and what we were going after. But then we discovered something when we started getting some feedback, right, TW?
Yes, we were surprised that we started to have female listeners, and we would hear from them, and we're kind of going, wow, we kind of didn't think you were our demographic. And they said, no, we listen to you for a particular reason.
And that's to be able to explain and to understand what their husbands are thinking of certain topics. So, and how it is to be able to breach certain topics and conversations with their husbands, their boyfriends, their significant others, the different males that work in the workplace. And we just never have thought about that angle, right? Because it is, as guys, we're not naturally communicators. We're protectors, we're providers. We go out there and we'll grind and we'll make sure that everything is taken care of. But just thinking of having conversations, in-depth conversations, is not first nature to us, right? And so, when we start reaching these subjects and we start talking to this, even the wives of some of the speakers or girlfriends of some of the speakers were like, man, I never knew that. He never told me this. Well, because as guys, we're like, well, you never asked. And you never brought it up. Like, I'm not going to bring it up. Right? So it's just been amazing in that whole process of, pulling stuff out of these different guys just by having open, vulnerable conversations. I think that's really kind of the appeal of our podcast. So then we evolved, and we said we took a different break. Different things happened in life and everything else like that. Matter of fact, we started season 4, our 4th year, and then we stopped after one episode, right? And we had actually some interviews that we had done. We had some people that are still in the queue. So when we release some of these past episodes, stuff that was on the cutting room floor, it's still going to be audio only. But from here on, we're going video. And there's a reason for that, right, TW?
That's right, because hold up your T-shirt a little bit more so everybody can see. And that's because if you look at the back wall, he is in a new location. When we were doing just the audio broadcast, he was in his office, in his home office, as was I. But as things happened, he got hooked up with a new business partner. And this new business partner, because he had a facility that was really perfect for it, bought one of those prefab put together podcast booths that hold what, 6 people?
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that.
it can hold up to 6 people.
Yeah, and so put it together, got the microphones, got all the wiring, the TV, all that kind of cool stuff. And they're going to have a commercially available site where they will record and they will edit and they will do all the work for doing a very good professional podcast. And so that's where he's broadcasting from. By comparison, I'm in my own podcasting booth, much, much, much smaller. It holds actually zero point 0.8 people. That's my knees are up against the wall kind of thing. But this is really a converted closet downstairs in my office space down in the basement, and it's got good soundproofing, so hopefully the sound comes in together well. Because I'm helping somebody else with a podcast, I'm doing some recording of some of the things that I have written for various purposes, and so here we are in hopefully professional surroundings, but with the same message and the same thought and same things what we want to talk about. We're just doing it. Hopefully, we went from the minor leagues to at least the advanced minor leagues, and here we are.
It's just funny because both TW and I believe that if you do something, you should do it with excellence, right? So it's always about elevating what it is that you're doing. And just all the experiences that we learned in both recording and editing, the Techie and the Cowboy over the years, as is that we began to upgrade our equipment, we upgraded our cameras, and we got better microphones, and we started to do it. And we just had this drive to always get better. But then also, whenever this opportunity came, and Leon is the guy who actually owns Miracle Farms, which is where the loft is located at, came to me with the idea of actually starting a podcast studio. And AV is my background. I've been in AV for, around 15 years doing audiovisual for big events. And so I said, okay, I could use the knowledge that we've learned from the Techie and the Cowboy and my AV background. And then my love for computers, I've been doing in the computer field for over 20, 25 years, a combination of all those, put those together. And then that's where the loft came from. It just came from all of the different opportunities that God has given me, all the different services that he's and the skill sets that he's given me. And now it's all kind of merged together in this amazing thing. And now I get to help other people to be able to create podcasts and to be able to edit their podcasts and to be able to storyboard and some of the things that we've learned, over the time of us doing it. And then also use my marketing background and my marketing and graphics background to be able to help them. So it's just like, it's fun being able to follow the spirit and watch where the spirit goes and all the doors that's opening to be able to come to this one place that even a year ago, I wouldn't even thought that I would have been here. And 4 years ago, we definitely wouldn't have thought that we were actually going to be able to run a podcast because we didn't even know each other. But I think it's just amazing how it is that two people, one in Dallas and then one that's in Atlanta, could be prayer partners for 4 years, 4.5 years now, and meet every single week because of technology, because of Zoom, because of the ability. And then for us to be able to collaborate together, coming from two opposite worlds, be able to collaborate together and come up with a podcast just shows the power of if you have something to say, if it is that you have something to be able to share with the world, now technology allows you to be able to do that. Whereas you don't have to, before you would have to get a publishing company or you'd have to get a broadcast company and you'd have to do all this different stuff. Here it is that we can just grassroots put something together, put it out there and see who it is that it affects. So I think that's the fun part of what we do.
Yes, indeed. And we have in the 3 years that we did the podcast, we got some really good feedback. And as a result of that feedback, it gave rise to us picking some slightly different topics for us to pursue, some of which are on a list that we will get to in this season. The other thing that it led to was that it motivated my colleague here, the Techie, to actually sit down and write a book. Tell them about that.
Yeah, so this has been something that was on my heart for over 5 years. And I actually went to another conference that he said, before it is you leave the conference, something that you've been meaning to do for a long time, you need to be able to go ahead and do it. And TW had been on me because I had told him about this whole concept that I had for you're finding your purpose. And he's like, this is a book. Now, TW, in case you don't know, is a writer, accomplished writer, award-winning writer. So he's already accomplished in that field. But he's like, dude, this is a book. You have a book ready to go. And I said, I felt like that. And he's like, so what's stopping you? Just go ahead and do it. So I went to this conference and they made you commit to something like, knee jerk. And what came out was I need to write this book. And I was like, where'd that come from? Made the commitment, put the money down and started writing the book, went through the process. TW helped me, guide me through the process of actually writing the book. Got finished with the book, went ahead and went into pre-sale for the book. And then a whole bunch of life happened, right? My mother-in-law passed away. We moved to a whole totally different city. My wife, just struggled with and overcame anxiety and dealing with that. And it was a great excuse to be able to not continue with the process of editing and finishing off the book. But once I got a coach who actually, I was like, okay, so what's the block? Because those are all earthly excuses, right? Those are all things that are distraction. But what's the block? And what I figured out was that this is my baby. This is my passion project. The analogy that I best use is that you have George Lucas, Star Wars, all this amazing movies that he's created. But his passion project, the one that he had on his plate for 20, 25 years, he didn't put out because he was afraid of the world to judge what he's the most passionate about. So even though you're accomplished, you've created these amazing movies, you still have a movie that's on the plate that you don't want to quite put out, and it's editing. And then he finally put it out. I think it was like 25, almost 30 years after it is that he actually wrote the movie. And it's kind of like that with the book. I found out that subconsciously, this is not conscious at all. Subconsciously, I was actually blocking myself from getting it out there because now this is my baby. This is my passion. I 100% believe in it. Know that it can help the world. But what's stopping me from doing that final editing to be able to put it out there? And now TW with the shotgun and much threats have said, we're finishing this book and putting it out there. So all of those of you who have pre-purchased the book, I appreciate you. Don't worry about it. It's coming. Now that we have the audio recording studio, I also have a special bonus for you. I'm probably going to do an audio version of the first chapter and give it to all those people that pre-bought the book, which is pretty cool. So not only will you get an autographed copy for your pre-order, but then you also will get an audio version of the first chapter, which I think will be cool, which will be the predecessor to doing an audio book. So super excited about that, TW. Appreciate you for holding me accountable all this time to getting the book finished. But it's coming, guys. It's coming. I promise.
Yes, it is. And I can confirm that it's coming out soon.
TW said, if I have to come down to Texas, you're going to finish this off. And it's been great. I've had nothing but positive support from all the people who it is that pre-ordered and everything else like that and supporting me. And what can we do to be able to help you? And I appreciate all of that, guys, especially as we went through life's turns and twists. I mean, it's just amazing to be able to have such an amazing support system, friends and family who it is that stepped up and really, made me feel okay. Because that was a big thing, too. I was carrying that weight on the shoulder of all the people who it is that pre-ordered and not being able to have it finished. That's a heavy weight. And what happens in life is that whenever it is that you get to a point where it is that you feel overwhelmed, you shut down. That's just like your genuine nature is to be able to shut down whenever it is that you feel overwhelmed. But it's just a matter of pushing through. And then being able to find the people and the resources to be able to help you figure out what's going on and break through that. And that's really what I've done recently. So, I have so much gratitude. So, yeah.
One of the lessons that both of us have learned, and I recently helping out a friend of mine just up the road here who's he's a cowboy chaplain, as am I, and he's putting together a very rudimentary podcast for fellow cowboy chaplains, and I'm helping participate in that. A story came up, and I think that applies to Austin's situation and mine. It's not like I don't have things that I should be held accountable. As a matter of fact, that's a deal we worked out just before we came on air, is that I'll press you about your book. You're going to press me about some other things not to be mentioned on there. But
no, we're going to put it out there. We're going to put it out there. We're going to put it out there. So,
okay.
Because it might help somebody, right? Somebody is going through the same thing it is that you're going through. So talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about what your block has been, because with you being an accomplished, author, and with you having now a screenplay, which is winning all kinds of awards and everything else like that, what's been your block? Because I think talking through it is the vulnerability that we created in the Techie and the Cowboy, right? So, yeah.
Yes, one of the things I'm actually helping out another colleague who 20 years ago, we started this writing project. And so now after he went through some life, he's ready to pick it up again. We started talking about it. He gave me a book from his publisher. I read through it, and it said, you come up with an idea, you brainstorm the idea, you put it together, you draft it, you edit it, and then you pre-launch it, and then you market it. And in the marketing chapter, it said there are two, and as Alistair told me today, there are three ways to approach or thoughts that you have initially doing marketing if you have not done marketing before. One is, oh yeah, I can see that. That's just part of the deal that I'm in. The second one is where you say, if you market, I see marketing as lying to people to get a sale. And therefore, I have to lie. I'm not a lying person. I feel bad about that. I don't know if I can really bring myself to do that. And so I will not market because that's a sin. And then you came up with number three. Tell me again what three was.
Well, number three is there's a thing called imposter syndrome, where it is that you feel like it is that you're being edified or that you are being paid. Let's talk about athletes that are getting paid this millions of dollars. And am I really worth what is being said or invested in me? Right. And so you have this people that don't want to market because even though they have great skill set, even though it is that people have told them they have great skill set, if I put it out there, if I market myself and put it out there, what if people don't really believe that I have the skills? Right. So TW has the awards, he has the books that have sold, lots of copies. He has lots of people who are giving him positive feedback, but he's like, if I put myself out there and start marketing it, what if it is that I'm not as good as I think it is that I'm at? It's really funny that lying portion that you said, because there's two different types of marketing. There's the scam type of marketing, where it is that you're actually trying to hustle somebody into buying something that's not really what it is. But then there's the marketing and getting your project in front of the people who really need to be able to read it or to be able to see it or to be able to hear it, right? And so switching that mindset about marketing is huge, because there's a vulnerability in marketing where you're just telling the truth and somebody's going to connect with your story. That's also marketing. It's not just when you think of the TV commercials, the infomercials, the slimy salesman at the, that's come buy now. That's one small portion of marketing, but a majority of marketing is just getting the word out there so more people know about your product. That's it. It's simple. It's just getting the word out there so more people can get exposed to something that you need. In the case of your book and my book, it's about getting it in front of somebody who's struggling with whatever it is that our books address, and maybe their book could be able to help them. That's marketing, right? It's just being able to promote your book. So I just want to be able to clarify that difference as a guy with a marketing background that does marketing all the time. I won't market for somebody who it is that's doing slimy, trick people into. I choose not to be able to take on those clients. But I love people who it is that are being vulnerable in their marketing.
Sure. But as I was saying, in helping out Skeeter Spalding, who's the other chaplain, he was interviewing a lady down in Moscow, Texas, just north of Houston. And she said that when she started doing her prison ministry, she anguished about, should I do this? Should I not? And then one night she had a dream. And in that dream, she had passed on and was walking with God, sort of on an orientation tour of heaven. And they came across this big warehouse, and they went in, had her name on the warehouse, and there were all these just huge cargo crates and boxes and small things like jewelry boxes and stuff. And she says, oh, this must be my reward for making it all the way to heaven. God turned to her and said, no, these were all the blessings I had for you when you were alive to share with others. But you were too proud. You wouldn't give me time. You were too afraid. Whatever it was, you did not share this. You did not empty your warehouse. So when I had that on my heart, and then I read this passage in the book and then talked with Alistair, I thought, God gave me the talent to write and communicate and tell good stories for a reason. And the Christian work that I do should be shared with others now. How should I do it? And that's where I am today.
Yeah, it's funny because the coach that I hired to help me to be able to break through the block, to actually break through the block and figure out, he said, you have more assigned to your name that God has in store for you. But what if this is the dam that's stopping you from getting to those, finishing off this book and getting this book out there. Not everybody's given the gift of a book. Not everybody's given the gift of having something to be able to say. So he's giving you this gift, and now it's your job to share it with the world. What if you're blocking the rest of your blessings because it is that you're not sharing the one thing that God has given to you? You want to talk about in the face? It's like, okay, so how can I give you more if you can't even take care of what it is that you have? And this is a concept that I teach my kids as well. I'm like, okay, if you take care of what it is that God gives you, he's much willing to give you more. But if you can't even take care of what it is that he gives you, how can you expect him to be able to give you more? And he's like, you can't even take care of what you got, right? And so it can be applied to a lot of different situations. And I feel like it's this situation too, which has also created a sense of urgency for me to get it done as well. So yeah, these are all learning experiences, right?
Super. And I understand that one of our guests this year that we will actually interview coming up shortly, it's going to be your dad.
Yeah, that's going to be very exciting and emotional all at the same time. My dad is one of my favorite people in the world. Now, I say one of them because my mom's going to be like, well, excuse me? So my dad and my mom are two of my favorite people in the whole entire world. But he's the one that taught me the art of the grind and how it is to be able to get out there and work and everything else like that. But also was one of the ones that put me in front of the people who it is that didn't have the knowledge base that he had, that can mentor me to be able to, he's not a computer guy. So to be in computers and some of the other stuff. So being able to interview him about his life and his journey, being the oldest of, I believe it's 7 kids. So being the oldest of all the kids and just growing up and how it is that faith is integrated into his life. I'm interested to hear what he's going to say. So it's going to be fun being able to have him on.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to that too, because I've obviously have heard a lot about your father indirectly over the years, and this should be just a super recording.
And that's kind of what we have in store for you guys this season. We have lined up, and we've already done a couple of interviews. But we still have some of them that, like I said, have been inside of on the cutting room floor for a while that we have to be able to release some amazing guests there. But we also have a lineup of some amazing men who are really accomplished in life, and just talking to them about, different subjects when it comes to their faith, when it comes to business, when it comes to life, love, their marriages. It's just going to be a fun season, CW, right?
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it, even though it's in this new format. But in a way, this makes me look forward to doing it the next time, because talk about a feedback system. We'll get a copy of this. I can look at this and say, now that you're on camera, maybe you should do this instead of that, or pay attention to the fact that you're doing this, you're not even thinking about it, etc. So it's a good self-improvement thing. But more than anything, I love the opportunity that we have to have these discussions every week, to truly aspire to be men of God, to hear the Spirit when he speaks to us, to feel it when he nudges us, and try to follow that path. Because if we had not, you wouldn't be in the loft, I wouldn't be in the booth, and we would just be doing whatever. This is so pleasing to me and so fulfilling to me as a Christian man. And so I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Man, that's a great place to be able to stop. So as always, like, subscribe, to us. We have it on different platforms. The Techie and the Cowboy.com, of course, is where it is that you could go, and you can see all the different platforms that the podcast is going to be released on. Now we're going to be released to YouTube now that we got video as well. And then Spotify for podcasts, which used to be Anchor, which was our hosting platform, has just delved into the world of video. So we'll be releasing the video on there too. But with that being said, my name is Alistair Hunt. They call me the Techie.
And I'm T.W. Lawrence, a.k.a. the Cowboy.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Let's drop that outro music.
That's it for this episode. Join us again next time for the Techie and the Cowboy. Hit us up on our website, thetechieandthecowboy.com. Let us know what y'all think.